Hello and welcome to the Kyle Phoenix Show. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Phoenix, and we've been talking about development. So, we've been talking about it essentially in an entrepreneurial context, but if possible, I want you to feel free to kind of change this to whatever you're trying to personally develop, whether that's yourself applying some of these thoughts and concepts, whether that's a project, a work project that you're working at for a company, or to an entrepreneurial project or business development. So what this portion is about, we did several things on budget. We did systems and processes. We did kind of the creativity and innovation, getting the idea, pulling it together, what it looks like to kind of integrate and pull some information into yourself. So what I wanted to add into this portion of it was I wanted to talk about laws and taxes. So here are, let's see, these are actually a lot of one or two maybe are actual textbooks that I use as a student in classes. But what I like to do is I like to buy textbooks about different things that I'm interested in or different aspects of things. So I showed how to start and operate a small business before, and that was, it's the light like that. You can see it a little clearer. So you have so many lights pointing at me to have me well lit. So this is good for an overarching general information, and I use it in my classes with adult students and teaching in adult education. Particularly what then I knock them back with, and these are my handy-dandy little post-it notes, is financial algebra. That's where algebra, everybody who says they particularly care for math, algebra. And I will say around algebra, in algebra's defense, that what I've found, and I wasn't a grand fan of higher forms of math when I was in middle school. I actually missed a year of middle school. I missed the 7th grade. I left school in like September of the beginning of the school year, and then went back into school like May of the end of the 7th grade. And essentially what I did was I just tested really, or I've always tested very, very high. So they really didn't consider the fact that I really didn't go to the 7th grade. Okay, so it's a little personal information about me. So what I want to offer to you is you need to, as this is a level of example of, and in some other shows I'll start shifting around so you can see that there's maybe the equivalent of 3 bookcases there. This is actually sitting on another equivalent of 2 bookcases there. And I have to buy a few more to go there. Create your own library. Create your own library. Anyone who is successful has a library. If you don't have a library, it correlates to your level of success. Because the great thing about, now your library now, books are part of my get off. So there are a lot of books in here. There's a lot of books. And there are books all under here too. There are like 2 or 3 levels that you can't see because of the whole camera placement. And then there's about 25 boxes of books outside of this office area. Okay. I love books. I love books and I love learning. I'm going to advise that whatever you're in, I'll take you seriously. People will take you seriously. You'll have the capacity to present yourself seriously. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a singer or a dancer or whatever, you need at least 4 to 6 shelves of books. Some of them focusing in your area, some of them in different areas, whether or not you've attended a liquor school past the 6th grade. Because you need some mentors. One of the great things I pointed out before was that Robert Kiyosaki, and having all of his Rich Dad books, and I started buying them in 98, so 16 years, 15, 16 years, and I have about 30-something of his books. Has acted, and I've gone to his seminars. I have his Cash Flow 101 and 202 games that, for myself as well as for my students, I think it's out there somewhere. I know it's really, there is no accurate way, unless I'm trying to convert this entire room into just a library of stuff. And so you can see my brain, basically. His mentorship and meeting him in person, he autographed, I think it's this book. No, it's the other one. The other one of those up there. He autographed the book, met him and his wife. He was a little tight, extravagant person because he's a focused business person. He's not warm and loving. He's not nice, but that's okay because I can relate to that. And to not being quite that kind of nice person. Whole other show. He's acted as a mentor to me for 16 years. He's acted because what he's done, this goes back to where we're talking about information, law, and taxes, is that he's released this whole brand on tax loopholes, business design, C Corps, S Corps, limited liability partnerships, limited liability corporations, patent law, cash flow, how to invest. I have done day trading, as you can see, my handy dandy post-it notes from here. I've done day trading and made a pretty nice dollar, quite a few years, from some of this advanced level of mentorship that he has been able to give me one step removed. So that even some of the books up here, this is Business One's Principles of Neuroscience, macro economy stuff, teaching. So a lot of this teaching stuff, organizational management, management science, contracts and restitution, sensation and perception. So I focus a lot on how to teach better. Early education, measurement and evaluation, psychology and education, feminist frontiers, the law of business organizations, cognitive psychology of mass communication, facilitating adult learning, culture and pedagogy, patents, copyrights and trademarks, the wealth of choices, teacher personal theorizing. This one was actually really, really good. Oops. The power of impossible thinking. This, amazingly enough, it's not a difficult book. Took me several years to read and complete because it would keep spinning me into other directions. It was so packed with so much information about so many other different things that Chapter 1, I go get 4 other books that it mentions in Chapter 1. Chapter 2, I go get 3 other books. So this book acted like a guide to 5, 6, 10 different other kinds of things. So this was really good, the power of impossible thinking. So I have a library of instructional materials. None of these, except for planning programs for adult learners, that one was kind of work-related. They didn't ask me to buy it, encourage me to buy it. I went to a professional development. They kept mentioning Rosemary Caffarella. I bought it. A friend of hers was there, I think, and just kept mentioning Rosemary, and everybody at the table knew Rosemary. So I went and bought Rosemary's book, and she really is. Rosemary's really sensational and great. What I can, here's an interesting point about Caffarella's book. Caffarella's book, used at work, used at 2 jobs, so I used it for about 4 years directly, and then now as a constant resource, reference. What she also helped me with in this book, remember I talked about that we're always dual using our materials, is that for one of my books, Rites of Passage, I thought to myself, yeah, that's about the right size. It's the size that it should be. So I was also looking at the design of her book to design my own material. So all of these books, though, are pretty much just me picking up textbooks. Sometimes at different stores, at like Goodwill and stuff. There's a great Goodwill in Upper Manhattan that, because they're near Yeshiva University, a lot of the teachers and students and professors, when they're moving on or leaving the country or traveling somewhere or going, they donate a lot of their books. So I've gotten a lot of great textbooks in areas that I'm interested in for pennies on the dollar. You need a line of stuff. As you can see, there are probably multiple books here. There's where that's at. Guerrilla Marketing. There's lots of marketing books there. Lots of finance books, tax books. This is the one I wanted to show. Write this one down. Strategic Entrepreneurial Growth. I have really been going through this in the past couple of, about the last week or two, because I'm really looking at, well, how do you make something bigger? How do you make something bigger? Step by step, piece by piece, inch by inch. You need to understand taxes. So here, let's see, is it? No, it's not there. Here's a good one. Practicing financial planning. So I went to school for finance business administration, and then took all of the H&R tax block preparation classes, didn't prepare taxes, then took advanced financial planning classes, and this was our textbook from financial planning class, and I actually bought several copies, and I give extra copies of it to some of my more advanced students who are definitely interested in finance. You need a library. I had a question. I was walking along, singing a song with my iPod, and I had a question about an advanced form of investing. So we're knocking right back into Kiyosaki's stock investing, and I've been thinking about it, and I was like, this sounds pretty interesting. In my head, I was trying to work something out, and I was like, who do I ask this question of? And so I came back to Wall Street Words, which is essentially, it's kind of like a dictionary, a guide, where it asks and explains just every terminology of investment and monetary issues and monetary designations and titles that you could possibly come up with. So I kind of knocked around my library for about a day till I found this, till I was able to actually isolate. I knew that what I was thinking was possible. And I knew that if I could think it, it was possible, and somebody else had thought it up as well. So I just didn't know the words for it, so I couldn't complete the idea of what I was trying to get at, of different kinds of stock investing in paper assets. Look it up in my library. Boom, there it is. Pull it together. Was able to get the right words to go online to the internet to look up in more detail. Say, yeah, it sort of showed me some pictures. That's what I'm thinking. That's why you need to construct a library that isn't always necessarily focused at just the stuff you're interested in. So taxes and legalities. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, one of his advice points. So you need to know three things. You need to know sales, you need to know taxes, and you need to know legality. So I have gone in and out of sales positions when I'm doing a level of selling, so that when people see me in person or see me making presentations or see me teaching, they actually think I'm an extrovert. I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert. I'm a very, very quiet introvert. Cameras go off, lights go off. I'm pretty, very quiet. But knowing how to sell, the steps of selling, 6 steps when I used to work at Abraham and Strauss as a teenager in high school. And then I've had other jobs that have touched into or had some parts of it that were a level of selling to people, to businesses, to individuals, having to sell. I have to sell. I have to sell the show, I have to sell the books, I have to sell myself, I have to sell my abilities. You have to sell your product, your service, yourself. You need to learn how to sell. Most people have great ideas, maybe, or half people have great ideas. Half of those people know how to maybe manage money. Most of those people don't know how to sell. If you know all three, you can make a business out of anything. Anything. So my advice in this, in learning and in taxes and in legality, is to go find some place to sell. Take a part-time job at a department store, give yourself a month, go work for the Gap, learn how to sell, how to break the ice, walk up to somebody and talk to them about something, how to sell somebody on buying this thing versus that thing, how to listen to people and hear when they're interested in that thing, but it costs a little bit too much, how to make the sale work, experience in selling, legalities. I've been a securities litigation paralegal. I did that after 9/11. My horrid joke is that I was going to go work. There were two companies that were interested in me, and I was about to go work for them, and then two planes crashed into the buildings and destroyed not only my jobs, but my resume as well. So that the companies I was about to start working for downsized because, their companies blew up. And so I was out of luck. At that point, 2001, September 11th, September 12th, I was a financial analyst, basically. And I was slowly moving further and further and deeper into intensive financial work. When that happened, the financial world, kind of dried up and got really, really tight. And no one was quite really interested in someone of my color coming into the company new and fresh. But I did have all of this financial information and knowledge, and I always had an interest in going further and going to law school. So I had a lot of intensive legal knowledge from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, from my own personal library. So 2001, had to be like October, I reinvented myself into being a paralegal. And I had a roommate, in 2002, and she was like, well, what are you doing? I'm going to work. He said, where are you going to work at? I'm going to work at a law firm. What are you going to do at the law firm? And I said, well, I'm the managing paralegal, securities litigation. She said, how did you do that? I was like, well, I knew this stuff, pulled it together onto my resume, made it sound right, made it fit, send it out, went on interviews, know how to sell, so I know how to sell myself, and I was able to start doing that paralegal work. By being in paralegal world and law firms, you start learning more about legal stuff. So I literally started at a law firm, Paul Weiss, at consulting. They were doing a project in the basement, literally started in the basement, where we would print out emails, and then we essentially had to put them in different boxes, because they were just basically scanning through an entire company's emails, Enron, to find out who did what to whom and when and how. So I started there. Then I was one of the few paralegals, because they wanted to keep a lot of people in the basement, to work their way upstairs to the actual Paul Weiss offices, because I knew so much, absorbed so much, and could produce so much. Then I went to, that was one contract, I went to 3 or 4 other law firms in about 2 years' time, working on these intensive legal projects, these intensive securities litigation projects. So I got a deep legal experience. And really what happened was I started a business. I got tired of working case to case for with 6 intense months, 100 hours a month, and then nothing for 2 months. I got tired of that, started some businesses, and worked at home for a couple of years, was kind of going back to the paralegal stuff a little bit, doing short-term small projects. Someone asked me to do a favor. I took a job in education in 2004 and learned education in and out. I'm always learning. I never take a job for the money. I always take it for the responsibility and what I can learn. And went into education, even though I'd previously been in education in college, in undergraduate college, not graduate. So that's really how I got a lot of my legal education. And now, moving progressively on forward from 2012, started at the law school. Started taking law school classes at Columbia, focused in education. So it's kind of marrying the two. Find how you can marry selling, taxes, and legality stuff. Taxes. Taxes was graduated from college, moved to New York, got my first apartment, first real job. First job, I think I was making like 40 something thousand a year in 90, what was that, 96, 97, 96, something like that. 98. So I get the job. It's good, feels energy, feels money. I did several different projects, and then comes tax time. So all my little W-2s come in, and I go to H&R Block, and I sit down with them, and I'm kind of, I've been reading, I'm doing some finance work. I've been entrepreneurial for some years. I'm reading the Black Enterprise faithfully. I have, you can see up there, they're not all out, but I have every Black Enterprise magazine since 1995, I think, 1994, 1995. So I've been slowly learning about stuff, doing the tax stuff, realize as her name was Keisha, she was the manager of one of the H&R Block offices in Queens, how much I don't know about taxes. And just at that time, I got my Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, and he's like, selling, taxes, and legality. I'm like, well, okay, I might want to go to law school. This might be a good time to learn about taxes. So it was $99, and I took the tax prep class. 8 weeks. I think I made 7 weeks of the class, 6 weeks maybe, because I read all of the materials, and they were, of course, trying to prepare everybody to possibly be tax preparers. I just wanted to understand taxes. You must understand taxes. If you understand nothing else, if you understand the law and taxes, you're good. You can learn how to be a salesperson. You can be a rotten salesperson and get other people to sell for you. You must understand taxes. It will be your biggest expense. Between taxes and legality will be your biggest expense and your largest headache. You must understand taxes. So that's why I spent the time, the money, and there's a whole section on this side and kind of mixed up library of stuff on taxes, on money, on people who understand taxes and money, so that when I need to understand something, I just pick it up and I go, okay, or I have a website or somebody I can talk to, or Keisha, who was a wonderful manager. She became a district manager of H&R Block. And we had another district manager who actually knew Keisha on the show a few episodes ago, where she was, I try to rebroadcast it around tax time every year, where she was explaining all the different systems people needed to be invested in handling and doing their taxes. So we'll probably rebroadcast that again this tax season time. So yes, selling, legality, taxes. Those are 3 developmental areas that if you are a human being, particularly in America, a capitalistic country, you must know. You must know as an individual. It is the cornerstone, the foundation, and the reason why so many people are poor, because they just don't understand those 3 elements. If you get those 3 elements, I would say there's a level of excuse, or excuses you out of having to have an intensive college education in those, because they'll become your own kind of college education. So, design your own school. Development means designing yourself, your personal self. So that's what I try to do. I'm constantly designing myself. I forgot this one. The Budget Building book for nonprofits. This book is slightly older, but while working at nonprofits, I wanted to understand where I worked at. So I got this book. I think I paid like $1 or $2 for it, and accounting and management. Got to be able to read a spreadsheet. Got to be able to read a financial statement. You have to understand if you want to be, and I hate sometimes to grossly put it down to just money, but if you want to have a lot of money, if you want to have $1 million, you have to be able to read a financial statement. Because as MC Hammer will tell you, And, oh, maybe I'll do the next show on that. Oh, that'll be a good one. TLC and Pebbles. Oh, that was a mess. You must understand money. And you must understand money not from your level of money, but from the hierarchical level of money down, of interest, of federal payments, of the Federal Reserve, of the International Monetary Fund and the International Bank, all of those kinds of things. You have to understand money. People who have money understand money. And on that note, I don't know what else to say. Thank you so much for watching the Kyle Phoenix Show. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Phoenix. What I will try to do is I'll try to make sure that all of the books or things that I mentioned are up on the Kyle Phoenix blog by the time this show comes out. So I'll reiterate some of my little reviews of stuff deeper. Also, there's a liberation list, which is going around. I try to email it out to everybody, put it up on Facebook. It's going to have its own page. It's also on the blog. It's about all of these kinds of books, and it goes deeper into race and sexuality as well. But that you can have a catalog of some really powerful information. And I'll talk next show about the Liberation List and about TLC and Pebbles. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Okay, but we're going to tie that into business because they're always tied into something else. As always, thank you so much for watching Kyle Phoenix Show. I'm your host, Kyle Phoenix, KylePhoenixShow@gmail.com or on YouTube, Meta Cafe, Hi-Fi, Squeepo. Check out the Kyle Phoenix website. Go to Google, just type in Kyle Phoenix. Go to Bing, just type in Kyle Phoenix. Boom, Kyle Phoenix. Thank you so much and take care of yourself. Have a good evening.